What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Now, I got another debate coming in for you guys today, but surprise, surprise, it's not a Piers Morgan debate. I know, shocker of all shockers, right? It's actually, we got Luke Beasley coming in trying to explain his left-wing positions, and yeah, he doesn't do such a very good job. But it's on the culture war with Tim Pool, and oddly, Tim Pool is not even there. So it's a pretty good debate, y'all. I would suggest going and check out the entire thing because they go back and forth. Luke Beasley actually does a pretty good job of articulating his positions here. His positions just on a lot of things happen to be a bit naive and a bit wrong, if you will. But, you know, before we get into the debate, I need you guys to do me a big favor. Smash that like button for me. Subscribe to this channel if you're new around here. I would greatly appreciate that. And share this video anywhere and everywhere you can. That would also be greatly appreciated because, as we know, YouTube, you know, they're not going to recommend my videos. They're not going to give me top priority, if you will. You guys have to give me top priority because I'm trying to compete with tens of thousands of channels. And, you know, I do appreciate on you guys clicking on this video to check it out, and hopefully I won't disappoint, even though you never know, I might disappoint, but I might not. You just gotta stay tuned and stay engaged with this video. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think about all this. You got any criticisms of me in general? Hey, I'm right here. I'm willing to hear them. No problems. I will engage with you in the comment section outright. But without any further ado, let's get into this thing before I rant on for way too long, y'all.
Yeah, so first off, political violence of any kind, if you're saying that someone attacks your car or something because there's a MAGA sticker, that's insane. They shouldn't do that. It is important to remember that the data show that right-wing political violence is far more
fake data. Hold on, I want
political violence. Well, I'm just going to finish the point. She went for a while there. And then, yeah, you bring up January 6th. That's an instance of political violence. But what you need to understand about something I've explained to Isabel before is that to understand our political analysis of two different relevant, prominent leaders, you have to at least limit it for some logical discussions to the leaders we're talking about, not vibes and abstract perceptions of an entire side. Because on any side, people will do crazy stuff.
But in the case of,
like look at the BLM riots for months, like that's it's largely left-wing activists.
Yeah, right.
How come it's that
and
base?
Democrats believed that if you committed crimes, you should be held accountable for them.
That's not true.
Unlike
They were
Trump
bailing them
actually
out.
It's not true.
Yeah, it's not true. Unlike Trump actually wanting to pardon people who were violent on January 6th. But I will say,
They should, all of
in
them.
the case of Trump, I'm all for protecting free speech. Y'all will sometimes mix up social media censorship, which if you have a platform, you're on the platform and you have terms of service, we can debate about what those terms of service should be, but that's not the same as government infringement.
But the government did infringe,
right?
And
I'm just going to complete my point really quickly. Let me address that.
It's already getting heated, not even 5 minutes in.
No, and then finally, I've never heard Vice President Harris advocate for censorship, whereas Trump literally said the government should come down hard on MSNBC. That's your leader of your movement, not just some random person out on social media.
Which I disagree with that, by the way.
Kamala Harris absolutely said that she was going to look into expropriating Twitter from Elon Musk because he had lost his privilege. These are her words. That's a direct quote. Lost his privilege to own because he was being I guess the way that she phrased it was he wasn't doing enough to censor people. She literally said lost his privilege. There was that is a direct quote. Lost.
I'm going to pull it up.
Lost his privilege.
I haven't even seen that.
Right.
So that's an actual direct quote from.
If you can find her advocating government.
Well, the FBI had a desk. They had a portal at Twitter where the FBI could tell
Trump,
people.
You mean?
No, not.
Yeah, as well.
It doesn't matter that it was under Trump. It was.
I'm just saying. You're talking about something.
No. It doesn't matter
because platforms have existed.
It doesn't matter because the FBI
has happened.
It should not.
But it's not forcing them.
It does not matter. The FBI is not in a position to tell private companies who they should and shouldn't censor. That's illegal.
So I'm asking you. You're saying that Trump's administration was engaging in illegal behavior.
I'm telling you, the FBI, and it doesn't matter if it was Trump's administration.
No, it does matter.
No, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
I'll explain to you why it does matter.
I'll explain to you why it does. Go ahead.
There has always been between private and public entities communication, sharing of information in some cases.
This is obfuscating the point.
Let me just explain
You're absolutely obfuscating the point of the.
Listen to what I'm saying, though.
Wait, let him finish, though.
Listen, I'm saying that I agree if the FBI said, we're going to punish you, Twitter or Facebook or something, if you don't censor stuff we want you to censor, that would be a huge problem. Them going, also under the Trump administration, because Trump was upset that some actress called him a mean word. And they went and requested, hey, we think this violates your terms of service, which anyone with connections at Twitter can do. Hey, does this violate terms of service? Because you might want to take it down. And then what we've seen is the percentages of the actual posts they end up taking down proves that they're not feeling threatened, because a lot of the ones that the government will go, hey, is this against your terms of service? Like, I guess the FBI example, then the social media platforms don't even do it. So they're not even being pressured enough to do all the requests.
So
if there were pressure, then I would agree with you.
But
Okay, so he's just plainly wrong on this, but you love how he tries to set this thing up by saying, oh, well, let's relegate our arguments to the leaders of the political parties. Well, like what? You're ignoring all the other people in those political parties just right off the jump, and he's trying to dismiss the political censorship of Americans on social media by the federal government, for crying out loud, trying to dismiss this as, oh, well, they're not being forced to do it. They're just being pressured. And obviously, if you look at the ratio to how many requests were taken in and how many people were actually taken down, it shows that they weren't. No, the fact that the FBI, the NIH, all these other governmental departments are asking social media platforms to say, hey, why don't you think about banning this person, huh? They may have violated your terms of service. Well, you know what? These social media companies, they have moderators to do this for them. It is not the government's job to step in and silence voices online. This is a very, very big problem, right? Now, the fact that the social media companies didn't just delete posts and ban people outright as much as the government requested that they do kind of goes to show a little bit of pushback on that, which is a good thing to a certain extent. But the fact that they even did this in the first place shows that there's a very, very big problem. Now, he loves to bring up Trump. Oh, this happened under the Trump administration? Yes, this happened under the Trump administration. That, right, like what Phil was trying to explain right there is it doesn't matter because, yes, the president might be in charge of the federal government, but the federal government is so large and so bloated that he can't control every single thing that they do. They could be doing this in the background and the president not even know about it, right? The leader of the FBI not even know about it, right? They've got so many employees, it's hard to keep control of these. So that's where the deep state element of all this comes in, right? Like there was one single request from Trump himself to take down because he was butthurt over something that this lady said. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, sure, fine, whatever. The fact that the government has a backdoor access to these social media platforms and is actually requesting people, be taken down just outright. There's a major problem with that, right? And it ramped up during the Biden administration, and that's something that little old Luke Beasley right there is just seemingly ignoring outright, that this was ramped up during the Biden administration. There was many more requests. Yes, all of the requests were not heard, right? They didn't take every single request down, sure. Grant you that one. But the fact that they did any at all is a problem, is a major problem, because now you're violating people's First Amendment rights. And yeah, we have problems with this. This violates the Constitution of the United States of America, and it needs to come to a stop, right? Social media is pretty much the town square. We can go to these places and work these ideas out, have a debate, have discourse, and we should be able to do that free from government interference, right? Because a lot of times we're going to be criticizing the government. And when you have one side that is criticizing the government a lot more than the other side, and then you have the federal government over here, targeting this other side that's criticizing them, yeah, I see a large conflict of interest with that. And that needs to be rectified outright. But let's keep going and see what else he's got to say.
There's a bunch of Democrats then. Awesome.
Because I remember a few years ago, congressional Democrats putting pressure on social media company owners to start censorship. And even just right before the 2024 election, Adam Schiff, what did Trump call him? Shifty Schiff with his long neck, whatever, pencil neck Schiff.
Watermelon head.
He demands social media companies take action in advance of 2024 election to address spread of election misinformation, which they also did with COVID. They were censoring doctors and anyone that had different opinions regarding the efficacy of the COVID vaccine.
And the Hunter Biden laptop.
but that's spreading misinformation. Right. They censored the New York Post.
Right. So here's the difference, right?
You're circling,
Can you
not
address
addressing
that?
I'm getting to your point. That's what I want to do.
Okay.
Do you consider like social media the town square at this point in our given digital age society? Like back in the day, think about like in the 1800s, everybody would go to the corner and talk, right? And if you removed somebody from that square and they couldn't talk anymore, right? Then you would be violating their First Amendment right? Like they can't, you're not allowed to say that like here on the street corner. And so that is the difference. Like right now, our street corner where our public discourse is being done on Twitter. So if they're trying to have it both ways. They're trying to say everybody can speak here, and they're putting these arbitrary rules in, which, you know, sometimes you were banned for no reason.
They.
The companies, these private companies, right? But that's the difference. They're either the town square or they're a private company. They're trying to have it both
and
ways.
legally not the town square. Even though I agree they have a huge impact in our political discourse.
Right, and so
until we fundamentally change our laws again, you could only do it if you nationalize. You're going to have private companies, just like a business that you walk in and you can't wear it without shoes, or you can't go to the store without certain attire on. They're going to be able to regulate their own platforms. Just in our free society, that's going to be the situation. So then advocate for them to have different terms of service. If you're upset with the debt,
well, we're advocating. Jason Fick is trying to tackle 230 right now, and he actually
advocate away. But y'all then attach this to the political parties in a way that makes no sense when only one of the political parties' candidate actually advocates.
No, they did.
That is not true.
That's not true. They had
Who is largely being censored? Democrats, Republicans. Come on.
You can make a good point, right? It's fine to make a point, but then you followed up with a blatant lie.
You have
a blatant lie.
No, the
only one party advocates for
What about Adam Schiff? I just showed
It's
you
the
that.
most ridiculous blatant lie that I've
How's
heard
Democrat-
in this kind of forum that I think
so
ever.
I use the word censorship really, really specifically. So I'm talking about governmental censorship, and that's what you haven't demonstrated. But I have demonstrated that Trump has called for governmental
There's
censorship.
a portal. There has been like an actual congressional investigation into it.
Yes, public and private entities will communicate.
Not only that,
all the time about so many
came
things.
out and said
as long as
making an apology for it is
do know
not
that-
the same
but
as saying
again,
it doesn't
so
happen.
then you're just as upset at the Republican Party, the Democratic Party.
No,
fine.
don't
At Trump, you're mad at Trump because Trump's administration did that too. Fine.
no,
All right, so there's a really good point brought up right here, and we're still on the censorship. I know we're going to get to some more stuff here in a minute, but there's a really, really good point brought up right here, and this is something I've talked about before. This used to be my position when people talking about getting banned from social media. Well, I'm like, that's a private company, blah, blah, blah. They have their rules. You must abide by those rules. Now, the problem is my position on that has evolved a little bit, right? When you get the government involved in this, okay, so you've got this social media platform, right? It's changed now that Elon Musk has bought X, but Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all these places, they're still like this, right? These moderators are mostly left-wing moderators, right? They're mostly left-leaning individuals that moderate these platforms. So, yes, so we're going to get a biased censorship, if you will, right? They're going to bias more toward censoring conservatives, blah, 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 blah. You get it, right? So now you have the government stepping in and also censoring the conservatives at the same time. It blows that up, right? So conservatives are just getting obliterated over here on these social media platforms, and it makes it look a lot worse than what it is, right? So we got government intervention, and the social media platform itself is both censoring conservatives kind of hardcore, way more. Like the percentage is like 80-20 on censorship on this, right? Like the studies, blah, 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 blah. We looked at all these. The censorship was hardcore toward conservatives. A bias toward them, censoring these people, getting banned, blah, blah, blah. Like I said, it's kind of changed now, at least on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it these days. Some people still call it Twitter, which, I mean, Twitter is Twitter, X is Twitter. Who cares, right? But that's a problem. So, yeah, I think we should get some more moderators. But this, once again, that falls back onto it's a private company. They can kind of do whatever the hell they want. And we've seen the massive shift when Elon Musk, who has been a longtime Democrat, buys the platform, says we want free speech, gives better rules, just try to be unbiased with all this. Don't censor this group more than you censor this group. Only, change the terms of service and blah, blah, blah. We've seen a massive shift in X. We've seen a lot of conservatives there being brought back. And now we're seeing healthy discourse on this. People not getting censored nearly as much as they were. Right, so when you even the playing ground a little bit, it makes a healthy town square, if you will, which, it's like he said, it's not legally a town square, but it's colloquially a town square. That is what it is. You can't get around that. You could say, well, it's not definitionally the town square because it's, section 230 and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, well, it is what it is. It's still a town square. It's still where people go to have open discussions on any and every topic, right? That's what we need in this country. We need more of this. We need more people like Luke Beasley coming in, articulate your positions, and like he goes on to say later in this debate that he doesn't know why left-wing people don't go and debate more often. It's because they're in a cult, bro. It's because they're in a cult. They don't want to hear the opposite position because they see all these people leaving the left, dropping the Democrats and going to the other side. Or not really even going to the other side, but you've got this group. It's a big tent group. Now, this is something Donald Trump has done because Donald Trump used to be a Democrat. He's not a Republican, and the Republican Party there's an ongoing civil war going on right now. We're trying to eliminate the establishment out of the Republican Party just entirely. And this is something the left needs to do as well. We need to get the old political establishment out of this thing. All right, so we can have these discussions, so we don't have this establishment, But we've got all these people just joining up with this big tent party, right? And you got Democrats coming over, Republicans, conservatives. You got a mix of everybody over here. And then slowly but surely, the cult left is being dwindled down to just the cultists left, and that's all there is. But that's why these people don't want to go and have these discussions, because they don't want their worldview shattered, because they see some of these arguments make sense. They make logical sense. Some of their arguments don't make sense whatsoever. When you shatter your worldview, yeah, you got a problem right there. You got a problem. You lose your identity. And a lot of people, they just don't want to come to terms with that. They don't want to realize that they've been lied to. They don't want to realize that everything that they know is wrong. Not everything, but, everything. That type of thing. But let's keep going, because we get into some January 6th, and y'all know I get animated when we talk about January 6th. So let's go
to that, because you think you're being really smug about this. Do you understand why it's bad to try to block the peaceful transfer of power?
Time out.
Okay, no,
yes.
hold on.
But I've got
I'm
the
smug
best
about this
answer
because
for
not
that.
because
You don't care about maintaining the core process of
I
our
don't
democracy.
know anything about what I care about, so I don't know where
Clearly,
you get off.
your tone makes it very clear you don't care. That,
my tone comes
that
from the
people
fact that you
believe
had
lies
continue
that
bringing
were
up January
espoused
6th over
I'll
and over
explain it
and
to
over
you.
and over.
It's not just about that day. Would you like me to explain it to you?
Yes.
Whenever someone loses an election and doesn't have any overwhelming evidence, or any evidence at all, of outcome determinative voter fraud, and then justifies, and I can't wait for you to pull the thing that I know you're going to pull up, because every person thinks they're going to dispute what I'm saying by pulling it up, and I'll say it doesn't at all refute it. But then you go through multiple allegedly illegal schemes that now he's not going to be prosecuted for because he's becoming president, but to block the peaceful transfer of power. Just forget January 6th for a second. The fake elector scheme that she wanted to talk about is an example of him trying to get unlawful people who did sign forms saying we're the lawful electors, and then he was pressuring Mike Pence to accept those as the real electors so that Trump could stay president despite losing the election.
You're going through the details about the January 6th, the things that led up to January 6th, the illegal actions that led up to January 6th, as opposed to the political violence. So you're bringing up the bad.
No,
right. So when you
just
talk,
go, why do you keep bringing up January 6th? I'm explaining it's actually not just about the violence. The more consequential democratically thing
I have a question.
Is the illegal schemes or trying to get the Brad Raffensperger. Yes,
This is
what I
about
want to talk about. Yeah,
she's about to intellectually commit right-wing violence.
How many? So you're having a problem with Democrats, not admitting the election. Like Hillary Clinton did say that the election was stolen. She always says
Russia collusion, Russia,
illegitimate, right? And then we had actual members of Congress
Just do you want to explain it, or can I just explain to you
Yeah,
now why
explain it.
that's not at all?
Why is it not the same?
I'm not bringing up, even though I think it was vile because they were doing it because of lies. I'm not bringing up the fact that senators objected or Congress people objected to the result. That actually is a power they have in Congress. I'm talking about fraudulent electors. The fact that that distinction is not one that y'all understand.
So
is
semantics. Semantics.
What?
So
No, no,
you're
no, no.
saying
What
that
do you- what do you
you're
mean by
saying it's
fraudulent
okay for Democrats to
Okay.
object
Let
to
me
election
explain-
results.
First, let me
to
explain the
electors.
Electoral College to you. So you're talking about the certification of the electoral count.
Correct.
We got
And
here
you're
because of
saying
political violence,
that-
not because of procedural stuff.
That's not what you're talking about. Which one would you like me to address?
We got here because of political violence, and you moved it to
Because
procedure.
you multiple times have taken shots about my fixation with January 6th, which I'm fixated, so that's why I want to talk about it. And to your point, you're talking about whenever members of Congress, which is a part of their constitutional authority, it's bad to wield that authority when you don't have a basis to, but they do have the ability to object to the electoral count.
Their
completely different.
constituents on January 6th were asking their representatives
Lord.
to do that. That's what that was.
Okay, and I haven't brought up once members of Congress
No,
objecting.
but why do you think the people
Okay,
were there?
so
The
then
people were
before-
wanting
yeah, I
their
gotta-
elected
I
members
need
to
to
do that. They're asking them. That's why they're protesting.
So you're
right.
you're completely mixing up two completely different things altogether. That is the electoral count being certified. I'm talking about a president getting people to assert themselves as the electors, the actual electors. Not let's dispute the certification of the election, but let's get illegal electors counted as the electoral college. Please tell me that separation makes sense in your brain.
That makes sense, but
Okay,
like, that's
that's
not,
what Trump tried to do.
That's not what he tried to do.
It is so overwhelmingly that he doesn't even deny it.
He's asking people. He said this was a fraudulent election, and
No,
I also,
stop bringing up Congress. I'm saying
I'm not saying that. I'm saying-
individuals who've been prosecuted in certain states for being fraudulent electors, they literally signed forms saying, I am the dutifully elected elector from the state of Wisconsin.
And
when
he
they
asked
weren't.
people to do that. That's what you're
He
saying.
got them. and then-
Where's the evidence of
And
that?
then what do you think he
Where's
wanted
the
Mike Pence
evidence
to
of
do?
that?
What do you think he wanted Mike Pence to do?
wanted Mike Pence to
Read
do
two
what those
indictments. That's where the evidence is.
He wants him to assert his power like Congress and not certify the election.
He wanted Mike
He has
Pence
the ability to do
say
that.
he was counting the non-electors that weren't lawfully sent by the states.
Let me say.
Random people.
Do you know how many?
It's crazy y'all are okay with that. Imagine that's
Are
what
you
Biden
okay?
started doing.
Wait a minute.
That would be-
Were you?
Okay, so I really, really was pissed off that I wasn't in that room for that discussion because this guy's totally overlooking the fact that the governors sent the electors into Congress without the authority of the state legislatures in several states. That's what the dispute was over. That's why there were alternate slates of electors. Okay, this kid doesn't seem to get that whatsoever, right? And they do a very poor job of articulating this. That was what the whole thing was about. Okay, so Trump did not put together slates of electors. That makes absolutely no sense. He has no authority to do this. They have to be put together by the state legislatures. The reason they put together those alternate slates of electors is because certain governors sent the certifications in without the approval of the state legislature. That means that the electors that were sent were in dispute. The governors sent them anyway. That was the problem. That's why Donald Trump told Mike Pence not to certify those electors. He didn't say to certify the fake electors, right? The alternate slates of electors. He didn't say that. He wanted more time to prove outright that the governor sent these blah, 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 that sent these electors in fraudulently because of some of the garbage that went on in the states like Texas v. Pennsylvania, some of the actions that Democrats took, right? We covered the shadow campaign. As a matter of fact, if you don't know what the shadow campaign is, I say this every time I bring it up. Right here at the end of the video, there's going to be another video explaining how Democrats won the 2020 election, which they went through several fraudulent procedural changes to win that election, sending lawyers out state by state to change rules, change laws, right? Having activists go to Democrat residences and harass these people to get them to vote by mail in 2020. That's what was being challenged. It wasn't like he brings up, oh, well, there was no fraud whatsoever, right? In the traditional sense, sure, there's always fraud. But was there enough of this to overturn the results? Absolutely not. But what was fraud and why Trump was bringing up terminating the Constitution, which is what Democrats did, They terminated the Constitution. They violated the Constitution in several states to change the rules to give Democrats a leg up in the election. Didn't notify the other side of these rule changes around ballot harvesting, the mail-in ballot, universal mail-in ballots, absentee ballot drop boxes. There were several issues, right? But they changed the rules, changed the laws, right? So Donald Trump, once again, did not put these slates of electors together. That's what they are going after Donald Trump, because the state legislature, right? Certain legislators in these states were charged. If you want to charge them with that, go right ahead. But you can't put that on Donald Trump. And him bringing up the call with Raffensperger, that's been debunked a long time ago. I don't know why people still try to use this talking point. It's so ridiculous, right? To think that Donald Trump would call up a state governor and say, hey, why don't you go fabricate some votes? All I need's 11,000 votes. Like, what? No, that's totally ridiculous. It's totally absurd that you're bringing this up in that fashion. That's not what he did. He was saying, go and look into some of these rule changes. Look into some of these mail-in ballots. They're fraudulent. You need to do a recount, blah, blah, blah. Find 11,000 fraudulent votes. That's all he was saying with that. And people took this as, oh, he's trying to get them to do this, blah, 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 blah. No, sure. No, that's ridiculous. Trying to get them to make up votes? Are you freaking kidding me? Is that what you derived from that conversation? You're insane if that's what you got out of that phone conversation. It's ridiculous that they bring this up. But, people just take some of this evidence, they cherry pick certain things. Oh, my fake elector scheme. And then they run with that like, oh, Donald Trump put together a fake elector. No, that makes absolutely no sense. He has no authority to do so. Right? He gets into talking about, oh, but they signed an affidavit saying blah, 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 blah. They were the right electors. Where did they get those affidavits from to do that? The state legislators, for crying out loud. Right? And once again, this has been done before. That's where they got the idea from. 1960. Go look it up. I'm not going to break all that down because I'm not fully informed on that. I just know that, alternate slates of electors in 1960 from Hawaii and from, I forget the other state, damn it. Sorry. But two different states. They certified alternate slates of electors, which in that case, it didn't really change the outcome of the election anyway. It was just a different circumstance, but that's where the idea came from, right? But the slates of electors that were sent to Congress were still in dispute. That was the problem. That was the impetus for January 6th outright. Has nothing to do with Congress certifying the elect. It's those electors were still in dispute from several states. That's the reason that the Stop the Steal rally was put together in the first place. That is the entire reason for that. And because they believed, Trump's team and them, that those slates of electors were sent in fraudulently, right? And there is evidence to prove this. There's evidence to show, I'll put it that way, to point in that direction. There's nothing conclusive for either side outright. Because once again, those governors sent those slates of electors without the certification from the state legislatures. So we have a problem here. And you know what? The Supreme Court looked at this and said, I don't want to touch this. Cowards. Outright. Cowards. They looked at Texas v. Pennsylvania and said, no, I'm good. I am good. Don't want to look at it. Letting it burn to the freaking ground. That needs to be answered. Whether states can change rules outside of their own constitution, right? Which affects every other vote in the country. If you got a swing, especially a swing state, that's going to affect everybody else's vote. It's going to change the outcome of an election, right? The Democrats changed the rules, changed the laws to benefit themselves, didn't notify the other side. That's what they did. And then, once again, I always equate it to it's like a baseball game, right? right before the baseball game, you got Democrats versus Republicans over here, baseball game. So the Democrats coach, right before the beginning of the game, goes to the MLB officials and says, hey, I think we need to change the rules around stealing bases. Right? So they say, he brings his argument or whatever, and they say, okay, we'll change this rule. All right, game time starts. Didn't notify the other side. Game time starts. Start playing the damn game. Right? And then all of a sudden, Democrats start stealing bases in a way that used to be illegal, but is now legal. Right? You got the Republican coach over here like, hey, come on, umpire, what's going on? They're stealing bases illegally. That's fraud. And then, the umpire's like, oh, hang on. Oh, rule change. No, as a matter of fact, that's totally legal. And you're like, well, since when? Oh, it just so happens to be right before the freaking game started. That's pretty much what happened in 2020. So the fact Donald Trump was coming out talking about fraud, right? People latched on to actual fraudulent votes and perpetuated a conspiracy theory about Dominion machines and all this other garbage. That's what the voter base latched onto, but that wasn't the base for the problem that we had in 2020. That was not the reason for the Stop the Steal rally. It was what Democrats did in changing procedure, changing rules, changing laws to benefit Democrats, and just not tell the other side and just say, screw it. Just screw the other side. Yeah, they gave themselves a leg up, right? Once again, I'd made a whole video on this explaining it outright. It's going to be right here at the end of the video. So go check that out, y'all. It's a very good video. It's very enlightening. I would suggest look at it. Check it all out. It's crazy. Crazy what they did. And it's just surprising that nobody decided to investigate this. Of course, Democrats, you think they're going to investigate themselves? Hell no. Of course not. Ridiculous to think they would, to think they have some sort of spine, to have some sort of integrity, to investigate themselves, to say, oh, well, we had a rogue element of the Democratic Party going around changing rules and changing laws that violated state constitutions and the federal constitution. Just outright. But, once again, like I said, they don't care about showing any integrity whatsoever, it seems like these days. They could care less. They won, and that's all that freaking matters, which is BS in my opinion. But, I think I've went on for long enough on this one, y'all. I want y'all to let me know what y'all think about all this down in the comments section. Hey, y'all, don't forget to smash that like button for me. I sure would appreciate that. But share this video anywhere and everywhere you can. All that good stuff. Subscribe if you're new around here. I really would appreciate that a whole hell of a lot. But like I said, I think that's all I got. Y'all let me know what y'all think about all this down in the comments section. Where do y'all fall on the side of the argument here on the election and all that good stuff? Is my argument compelling enough to change your mind? That's what I would love to know. But y'all let me know what y'all think. That's all I got. I want to thank everybody for watching, and y'all try to have a good day. Stay legitical. Peace.